Today's lesson is the race to clean up PFAS. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're talking about something called PFAS, P-F-A-S, which is a chemical name, and it's kind of in plastic. It's in everything we use, in shampoo and mattresses and things like that, and it's causing some problems for the environment.
Absolutely. Anyone of a certain age will remember the fears about CFCs, right? We were always worried about that kind of chemicals that might be causing a hole in the ozone layer. So we were looking into refrigerators and certain types of aerosols or spray can products that might be producing CFCs. These are products that are very convenient and very affordable, very economical for us. They do a lot of things in a useful kind of way for humanity with new materials and whatnot, but we have to look at the long-term consequences these chemicals might have on the environment. Yes, they might make your plastic stronger or your products cheaper or both, but if they end up in the ground or in the environment, in the air, in the water, they can often stay there for a long time. I think a lot of people might know that plastic bag that you could toss in the garbage so casually, it can actually stay in the ground for about 500 years before it degrades. So this is the kind of thing we want to avoid. So if we can still have chemicals that allow us to have wonderful, useful products, that would be great, but we don't want to use these chemicals at the expense of the environment. And also, what do we do with the chemicals that are already there? Often we don't realize how harmful the chemicals are until they've been in use for a very long time. So let's find out about PFAS, what they are, what they're in, and what we can do to avoid having them pollute our environment even further. The race to clean up PFAS. Have you enjoyed a takeout pizza recently? Shampooed your hair? Slept on a mattress? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you've likely come into contact with PFAS, or per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances. As common as they are useful, these substances are unavoidable in the modern world. However, a growing body of research suggests that the risks they pose far exceed their usefulness.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 mattress， 它的意思是床垫、褥垫。例如 This is the most comfortable mattress I've ever slept on. 这是我睡过最舒适的床垫。或者 I need to buy a new mattress for my bed. 我需要为我的床买一个新的床垫。再来看到动词 exceed， 表示超出、超过或是超越。例如 Owen exceeded the speed limit last week, so he got a traffic ticket. 欧文上周超速了，所以他收到了一张交通罚单。或是 Eddie's grades at school exceeded his parents' expectations. Eddie 的学业成绩超出他父母的预期。
Okay, so let's talk about PFAS, P-F-A-S. We'll talk about what that actually stands for in just a couple of seconds here. But yes, we want to clean up PFAS because they're causing problems for the world, although they are very useful and they've been a part of our lives for a very long time. We begin our article with a question. Have you enjoyed a takeout pizza recently? Shampooed your hair? Slept on a mattress? Okay, so these are some things that you've probably done in your daily lives, and you've done these things fairly recently. Maybe you have enjoyed a takeout pizza. Now, if you eat pizza, you can order it to go. You can go into the pizza place, order it, and then take it out. You could also have pizza delivered, but takeout pizza is just pizza that you eat not in the restaurant. You eat it probably at home or in your dormitory or whatever. So yeah, have you ever enjoyed a takeout pizza? I certainly have. Have you ever shampooed your hair? Well, I did this morning and last night. And have you ever slept on a mattress? Well, I slept on a mattress last night. Okay, a mattress, of course, is a cushion that is on your bed and it helps you sleep better.
So there you go. We've seen that PFAS are in lots of different chemicals, not necessarily something we consume or eat and put in our bodies that way, but they're in a lot of different products we use in a lot of different ways in our lives. So, if you answered yes to any of those questions, you've likely come into contact with PFAS, or per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances. So that's what we're talking about here. The PFAS stands for polyfluoroalkyl substances. So that's why we've shortened it down to PFAS. It's a lot easier to say. So if you've answered yes, if you've ever had that pizza, shampooed your hair, or slept on a mattress, you've likely come into contact with PFAS. Not only in a sort of experience kind of way, oh yes, I've done that, so I've been around PFAS, but actually you've slept on PFAS that might be in that mattress. You've used that shampoo bottle, or maybe even the shampoo, I think more likely the bottle, to hold your shampoo. That bottle is made with PFAS, and it might be even in your takeout pizza box or something like that. So basically, this stuff is in a lot of places and used in a lot of different ways.
Right, and in the next sentence we have the as pattern, so as common as they are useful, which means they're both common and useful at the same time, or they're common and useful in the same amounts. These substances are unavoidable in the modern world. If something is unavoidable, well, you cannot avoid it. You have to come in contact with it, and indeed, if you want to survive in the modern world, you're going to come across this stuff whether you want to or not, unless you're a primitive tribe living on some island in the Indian Ocean or something. Yeah, maybe you don't have to deal with these things, but for most folks in Western countries and in Asia, you're going to come in contact with these substances.
This is not good. As it says, however, a growing body of research suggests that the risks they pose far exceed their usefulness. Oh, okay, so that's definitely a problem that needs to be solved. So this is based on a growing body of research. When we talk about a growing body of something, it might be something like proof, data, facts, information, a growing body of research, a growing body of data, a growing body of evidence in the police investigation shows that this guy must have been the murderer. So it's something that we've learned about and we're learning more about, and the more we learn, the more it sort of backs up or reinforces our assumptions or our theories or something like that. So a growing body of research shows that this is happening. We could also say, hey, a growing body of evidence from just what's going on in the weather shows that global warming is a real thing and it is causing bigger storms and things like that. So as time goes by and as research is done, we learn more and more, and that contributes to this growing body of proof or data. So it suggests that the risks they pose, the negative sides of using PFAS, far exceed their usefulness. So there's much more bad than good here. If something far exceeds something, it goes way beyond that. To exceed is to go beyond. If you're ever caught for speeding, a police officer might say, I'm stopping you because you were exceeding the speed limit by 20 kilometers. You were going 20 kilometers over the speed limit too fast. So to exceed is to go beyond a boundary or a limit or something like that. So the risks that they pose, the dangers of PFAS, far exceed, are much greater than their usefulness. So basically, they're a lot more bad than good.
Right, that's according to some new research, and I think that's probably not surprising to a lot of people. All these different kinds of chemical substances will eventually cause harm to us, and they'll be more harmful than they are good for us. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson. Let's go on now to try to answer the question, what are PFAS? Yeah, what exactly are they? Let's listen.
What are PFAS? PFAS are man-made chemicals that were developed in the 1930s. They were created to meet the need for materials that could repel water or stains while enduring extreme heat. They are highly effective in this regard and have been used in countless consumer products since the mid-20th century.
第二部分看到形容词 man-made， 它的意思是人造的或是人为的。例如 There's only one natural lake in my hometown. The rest are man-made. 我的家乡只有一座天然湖泊，其他都是人造的。也可以说 The archaeologists discovered some man-made carvings on the wall of the cave. 那名考古学家在洞穴的墙壁上发现了一些人为的刻痕。再来介绍动词 repel， 表示防、抗，也可以是排斥、击退或是驱逐的意思。我们可以说 The cat repelled the bear's attack by scratching it on the nose. 那只猫透过抓那只熊的鼻子来击退它的攻击。又或者说 After 3 days of fighting, the attackers were finally repelled. 经过3天的战斗，袭击者终于被驱逐了。接着看到名词 stain， 它的意思是污渍、污迹或是污点。例如 It's hard to remove a red wine stain from a carpet. 地毯上的红酒渍很难去除。又或者说My white shirt got stained as soon as I spilled coffee on it. 我的白衬衫在我一打翻咖啡就被弄脏了。继续介绍动词 endure， 指的是承受、忍耐，也可以是持续或是持久的意思。举例来说 Steve endured years of poverty before finally becoming successful. Steve 在终于功成名就前忍受了数年的贫穷生活。又或者说 Despite some arguments here and there, their friendship has managed to endure through the years. 尽管时有一些争论，但他们的友谊这些年仍持续了下去。再来看到名词 consumer， 表示消费者或是顾客。例如 The new laws were designed to protect consumers. 这些新法的设计是为了保护消费者。
Okay, so again, that's the question. What are PFAS? Well, the answer to the question is PFAS are man-made chemicals that were developed in the 1930s. So there you have it. They were created by people in the laboratory. So we say they're man-made. You could also say they're artificial. They're artificial chemicals, and they were developed way back in the 1930s. So they've been around for quite some time already.
Absolutely. But of course, they are probably much more common now than they were back in the 30s, since we can produce them in larger amounts much more cheaply. What were they first used for? It says they were created to meet the need for materials that could repel water or stains while enduring extreme heat. So this is a need that people found, maybe for products used in the kitchen, for cooking or something like that. This was to meet the need for materials when people have a problem that needs a solution, and you think of that solution, you think of that product that is going to solve that problem. That product will meet the needs of millions of people, and you will become a billionaire, and your product will be very successful. Congratulations. So to meet the need is basically to fulfill the desires or the requirements of something. If you want to apply for a job, you want to make sure that you meet the needs, or your resume meets the needs for what the company is looking for. If they're looking for a trained truck driver and you don't have a license, well, then clearly your credentials, your experience doesn't meet the needs of that job. It doesn't fulfill the requirements or provide the services or whatever that they want. So they wanted to find materials that could repel water or stains while enduring extreme heat. Water can be absorbed, right? Water can soak into our clothes and things like that. If something repels water, well, it doesn't sort of send it away from it, but it sort of protects it. It is not affected by water. A raincoat will help you repel water from your skin. We could talk about a duck having oily feathers that help to repel water. That's why we have the expression, it rolled off like water off a duck's back, or it didn't affect them like water off a duck's back. That oil in their feathers repels the water. It doesn't get absorbed. It doesn't get soaked up. It sort of protects it or sends it away. You can also repel someone by yelling at them. If someone is attacking you, you might start screaming, and that might cause your attacker to run away. They were repelled. Or if there's a terrible smell in a certain place and you haven't cleaned out that garbage can, oh, I can't even get close to it. The smell is repelling me. It's sort of pushing me backwards or sending me away. So they wanted something that basically won't soak up water, won't absorb water, or stains. I guess that would be oil stains. And a stain is a mark that goes on something, probably caused by a chemical. When you think of stains on your clothing, you might think of, oh, I had tomatoes spaghetti sauce last night, and I got these little red spots on my white shirt, and they won't come out. Stains can be caused by things with a lot of protein in them, so blood stains, red wine, things like that can cause stains or marks that even after a lot of washing will still be present, will still be seen. And they wanted also to have a product that can endure extreme heat. If something is being endured, it's being sort of survived. It won't be affected by it. So if we're going through a terrible situation and you don't want to quit, you'll just have to endure it. You'll just have to live through it. You'll just have to deal with it. it. If we're talking about extreme heat, well, again, you're thinking of putting something in the oven. If you have a glass dish and you put it in a very hot oven, it might shatter or break because that glass isn't designed to endure extreme heat. That's why we would use special cooking dishes, maybe made with special glass or metal, because those products are designed to survive the extreme heat. They're designed to endure those very high temperatures.
Yep, to continue despite difficult situations, like if you're running a marathon and you've reached the 20-mile point and you want to quit, I want to stop, but you need to endure. You need to keep pushing forward until you finish the race, because if you don't finish the race, you'll probably hate yourself for the rest of your life for not completing your marathon. But in this particular case, they needed a chemical that could repel water and that could repel stains, but it could also endure extreme heat at the same time. And they are highly effective in this regard. So in this regard just means in this way, referring to what we just mentioned, being able to repel water and stains and to endure extreme heat. Yes, they're very effective in doing what we just mentioned here. And they have been used in countless consumer products since the mid-20th century. So if something's countless, of course, we can't count it. There are so many of them. And if we're talking about consumer products, we're talking about products that consumers use. A consumer, of course, is a person who buys and uses products and services that are sold by companies and people. And yes, we have all these different products that we use, like umbrellas and raincoats and things like that. Yes, they have been included in those consumer products for a very, very long time, since the mid-20th century, which would be around the 1940s, the 1950s.
All right, so let's find out more about PFAS, specifically where they are found, which kinds of consumer products we're talking about that do contain these chemicals. Let's read about that, and then we'll come back to talk about it. Where are PFAS found? Unfortunately, the very same qualities that make PFAS so useful also make them a threat. Also known as forever chemicals, PFAS can cause pollution at every stage of their production and use, and they then fail to break down in the environment. Instead, they just hang around for eternity, or at least hundreds, if not thousands of years. As a result, they now contaminate air, soil, and water around the globe.
第三部分看到名词 eternity 表示永恒或是永远。我们可以说 Grace believes that evil people will spend eternity in hell. Grace 相信邪恶的人会在地狱中度过永恒。最后一个例子 The couple promised to love each other for eternity. 这对夫妇承诺将永远相爱。
Okay, the third part of our lesson today begins by saying, unfortunately, the very same qualities that make PFAS so useful also make them a threat. So we could say they're as useful as they are a threat. We could use that previous pattern there. Basically, they're useful and they're a threat at the same time. So the actual qualities that make them useful also make them something dangerous at the same time. These things also make them a threat.
Okay, so they're good and bad. They're a benefit and a danger. Here's a very interesting quote, or a very interesting description, also known as forever chemicals. PFAS can cause pollution at every stage of their production and use, and they then fail to break down in the environment. This is not a good thing about PFAS here. They cause pollution at every stage of their production, so making the products with the PFAS in them, all of this stuff causes pollution. Using them can cause pollution. I guess maybe if you have a cooking dish and you heat it up, it might release PFAS into the air or something like that. So even when you use them in that product, they can still cause pollution. That, of course, could affect us more directly if we're touching and handling and spending time around them all the time. And then once they're no longer good, once they end up in the garbage, basically, they then fail to break down in the environment. So unlike those wonderful garbage bags that we have here in Taiwan, where you put your garbage in them and then over a year or two they might break down and turn into non-harmful chemicals, PFAS don't break down, kind of like that plastic bag that lasts for 500 years or something like that. So they don't break down in the environment. They'll just sit in garbage dumps and landfills and places like that. Basically the same forever. And of course, if they end up in the ocean, they won't really break down either. Or if they do physically break down into smaller parts, they will still contain all their harmful chemicals. So there is no sort of natural end to these products. There's no way that we can kind of take the danger out of them and have them be harmless in our environment. They are always around and they are always causing pollution.
They just hang around for eternity. Eternity just means forever and ever, all the way until the end of time, or at least hundreds, if not thousands of years. Yeah, they'll break down eventually, but still they're going to be around for a long time and they'll outlive all of us.
As a result, they now contaminate air, soil, and water around the globe. So because of that, the fact that they last forever and they never break down, so they now contaminate basically the earth. To contaminate is to sort of bring something nasty, dirty, infectious, something very undesirable into an area that was once free of that. So if you contaminate your body with bacteria, you might expect to get sick, to get an infection or something like that. We can also use it in sort of non-biological ways. You might say, I don't want that guy in my group. He always argues with people. I don't want him to contaminate the friendship or the teamwork that we have, right? So you're kind of bringing something nasty, negative that's only going to have bad effects into something that otherwise would have been kind of good or clean or well organized. Something that can contaminate it can kind of ruin it and spoil it for everyone. So of course, if we're contaminating the air, soil, and water around the globe, we're basically putting pollution into the environment. And yeah, that's not good.
That isn't good, but something that is good is the chance to listen to our Chinese teacher, Hanny. Let's listen.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第二部分提到 Pfas 是1930年代开发的人造化学制品，文中它有用到复合形容词 man-made 来描述人造的、人为的。那我们这边就来介绍一些常见的复合形容词组成方式。首先呢，是跟数字有关的复合形容词，那它的组成可能会是数字连字号名词，像 4 year 4年的， 5 star 5星级的。那特别注意这个组合里面的名词一律用单数表示。那我们也可以用到序数连字号名词来构成复合形容词，像 7th grade 就是7年级的。然后另外一个组成方式是数字连字号名词后面加 ed， 像 3-legged 3条腿的， two-sided 双面的。我们再来看到跟名词搭配的复合形容词，像第一个组成方式名词连字号形容词，我们可以说 world famous 就是世界知名的， duty free 免税的，就是这一类组合。再来是名词连字号名词，像 name brand 表示名牌的，还有名词连字号名词，那后面这个名词的字尾加了 ed，像是 freckle-faced 就是满脸雀斑的。然后还有一个组成方式是名词连字号分词，可能是 VING 或者是 PP， 像 award-winning 是得奖的，还有我们课文当中的 man-made 也是一个例子。接着来看到跟形容词的搭配，那第一种组合是形容词连字号形容词，像 little known 鲜为人知的。那第二个组成方式形容词连字号名词，像 long term 是长期的， part time 是兼职的。还有呢，可能是形容词连字号名词，那这个名词后面加了 ed， 像 short haired 短发的， old fashioned过时的。再来下一个组合是形容词连字号分词，那可能会是 VING 或者是 PP， 像是 good looking 好看的，还有 ready made 现成的。好，那我们看到课文下一句，它有提到说 Pfas 是被创造来满足对于在承受极度高温的同时能够防水或防污的材质需求。那文中用到动词 repel 去表达防或者是抗，它还有那种排斥啊、极 退或者是驱逐的意思。那我们来看看它的字根 P-E-L 这个部分，它就有 push 或者是 drive 等等的意思，去表达驱使啊、驱动、推挤。那在 repel 这个字当中，字首 R-E 表示 back 返回往回，字根 pel 它表示 drive 驱使。那驱使攻击者或者是驱使敌人返回，把他们推回去，这样应该可以联想到 repel 它有击退、驱逐的意思。顺便补充2个有相同字根的单字，第一个是 propel， 它的字首 P-R-O 表示 forward 向前， pel 表示驱使，那合在一起 propel 它就有推动、推进、驱策、驱动的意思。第2个补充的是 dispel， 它的字首 D-I-S 表示分离， pel 表示驱使，那合在一起 dispel 就表示驱散或是消除。好，那么以上就是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Mattress. I recently bought a new mattress for my bed to improve my sleep quality. Exceed. May was stopped by the police while driving because she exceeded the speed limit. Stain. There is a coffee stain on my favorite white shirt, and it's difficult to remove. Endure. Taipei 101 was built to endure strong earthquakes. Consumer. As a smart consumer, Rob always compares prices before buying. Unfortunately. Unfortunately, we missed the last bus home. Contaminate. Chemicals from the factory have contaminated the town's water supply.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.